Shabbos, say, stay tuned. There's a gewaldige podcast. Rabbi Steve Geller does a gewaldige Zach, and that'll be coming out this week. Torah Giants on Chumash. Shalom Uvrach, and welcome to the weekly piece on the Parsha from Torah Giants on Chumash, written by Rabbi Yitzchak Meir Goodman, the Rabbi Emeritus of Yemizrach Rockaway. Sit back and enjoy.
Welcome to Torah Giants on Chumash. I'm Steve Geller. This week we're going to focus on a fascinating omission by Onkelos. Onkelos was a 2nd century commentator prominent throughout the written and oral Torah. Onkelos was a Roman nobleman, nephew of Titus, the same Titus who destroyed the second Beis HaMikdash. Fluent and a master of Aramaic, according to the Gemara in Gittin, Onkelos practiced necromancy and could communicate with the dead. He contacted Uncle Titus and Balaam to ask them who is honored in the next world. Both said the Jews. He asked how they themselves were faring. Let's just say that Titus and Balaam were doing about as poorly as you would expect. There's a beautiful account of Onkelos in Masechta Avodah Zarah. After he converts, the reigning Roman emperor sends soldiers to arrest him for his betrayal. Onkelos starts telling the soldiers about Judaism, and the soldiers convert. The emperor sends more soldiers, and they too convert. He sends a third group and commands them do not speak to Onkelos at all. The soldiers apprehend him and were walking when Onkelos saw a mezuzah. He placed his hand upon it and asked the soldiers, "What is this?" They said to him, "You tell us." He said, "The way of the world is that a king of flesh and blood sits inside his palace and his servants stand guard, protecting him outside. With regards to the Holy One, blessed is he, his servants sit inside their homes and he guards over them outside." Upon hearing this, those soldiers also converted to Judaism. The emperor sent no more soldiers after him. With his mastery of Aramaic, the common language of the post-Second Temple time and place, Onkelos is celebrated for his translations of Hebrew, adding understanding and color. In our Parsha, the Torah is discussing what we do with a person afflicted with tsaras, commonly translated as leprosy. The person afflicted with tsaras, his garments shall be torn, his hair shall be grown long, and he must cover his head down to his upper lip, and he shall call out, Tameh, Tameh. On the words, V'rosho yiyeh parua, Rashi tells us that parua means he shall not cut his hair. But Onkelos renders this 3-word phrase by simply translating it into Aramaic. No deeper insight or color into the meaning of parua. The problem is, just last week in Parsha Shmini, we have the same phrasing. Moshe said to Aaron and Elazar and Itamar, his sons, Rashechem al tifro, stated in the negative, do not let your hair grow long. Same wording as in our pasuk, just stated in the negative. But here, Onkelos confirms to us that it means al tifaru, do not let your hair grow long. So the question is, why does Onkelos tell us the meaning of parua in Parsha Shmini, but here in Tazria he doesn't give us a meaning, just a simple translation into Aramaic? Rabbi Goodman starts this investigation by pointing out that the Gemara in Moed Katan records a debate between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva over this very word in our Parsha. Rabbi Eliezer claims that parua means that his hair should remain uncut. Rabbi Akiva believes that it does not forbid cutting, rather it means do not put on tefillin, which go on the arm and head. Why did Onkelos refuse to translate parua here in Tazria when he did so last week in Shmini? Rav Baruch Levenstein offers a beautiful solution. In last week's Parsha, when it was referring to the Kohanim, there is no debate or question in the Gemara. All know that they were not allowed to grow their hair wild, and parua was the term that was used there. However, the debate of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer only involved the leper. Rabbi Akiva felt that this term has a second meaning, that of not wearing tefillin while afflicted with tsaras. The secret, according to Rav Baruch Levenstein, is when Onkelos converted, his first Rebbe was Rabbi Eliezer. When Rabbi Eliezer passed away, Onkelos studied with Rabbi Akiva. Here in our Parsha, tasked with explaining in Aramaic the meaning of the word parua, Onkelos did not wish to get involved in a debate of his 2 great beloved Rebbeim. Rashi, who had no such problem, recorded in our pasuk the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer that it forbids long hair since he was following the halacha. But now, our beloved Rav Eytan Feiner Shlita, sees a much deeper meaning into Onkelos' position.
See, here we are, on to yet another spectacular insight. You can always count on Rabbi Goodman, you can always count on Rabbi Steve Geller. Baruch Hashem, and of course we turn to Avdov Eliach Pinin Mishulchan Gavo. He's quoting Rabbi Levenstein. Just a beautiful horror this week. So as Rabbi Levenstein fantastically points out, because since Onkelos learned from Rabbi Eliezer, and then after his demise, he then learned by Rabbi Eliezer Talmud Rabbi Akiva, who is then his secondary Rebbe. Since they have a machlokes, as Steve presented to you, how we teach, how we define and understand the idea of Peru over here, Onkelos says, I'm staying away from machlokes. Lamana Sholem, I got two Rebbeim, and I want to stay as far away from machlokes. Lamana Sholem. Rabbi say, you know what a lesson this is? Keeping in mind the Gemara Megillah, whatever Onkelos is telling us goes back to Sinai. This isn't stam of his own lesson. That means he's telling us it's a Sinai Dika comment. What's the Sinai Dika lesson? That if one Rebbe says A, one Rebbe says B, you know what? I'm not going to take sides. I'm not going to espouse, champion one opinion over the other. Lamana Sholem, Tamidacham Marbim Sholem Ba'olam. Lamatza Kershuch Okli Masik Barchel Yisol Ela Sholem. I'm not going to get into any machlokes. I'm going to go ahead and tell you a pshat that's going to work according to both of them, Rabbi Sai. That is Onkelos Seger. What a powerful lesson. The same way that all of Shas finishes with the lesson in Uksin Gimel Yud Beis. Lamatza Kershuch Okli Masik Barchel Yisol Ela Sholem. Yes, he has a Rebbe Rabbi Eliezer, and we have a Maratzchis in Sukkot Aleph that he would explain it. But in the end of the day, I have a machlokes. Let me go in and make shalom. That's Onkelos Seger. That's what he felt is the most important thing to teach Klal Yisrael. Right here, Parshas Tazria, Rabbi say, let's follow suit. The same way we finish every Shon Esem, Baruch Hashem Yisrael B'Sholom. Same way every benching, Hashem Oz Lamoyte Hashem Yisrael B'Sholom. Bears Kodim, Yasim L'cha Sholom. Rabbi say, you know what's going to bring you Yeshua? If we learn this monumental lesson of Onkelos Seger, I'd rather say something different than how I typed it up back in last week's parasha to teach Klal Yisrael that lesson forever of the Mana Sholem. That's going to get us where we need to go. Wishing you all bracha and tzlacha and joy, and sit back and never relax when you're listening to this fantastic shir. Tzlacha and bracha. Have an amazing day.
The Torah gives us incredible color into the humanity of the characters within. Noach's chen, Avraham's chesed, Moshe's humbleness, Aaron's love of shalom, just to name a few. And of course, there are legends of our Gedolim of recent generations and accounts of the greatness of their personal midos and conduct. But as Rav Feiner illuminated, there is so much we can learn from the sages of the Gemara beyond the Torah they share. This beautiful midah of Onkelos can benefit all of us in our lives. But only if we like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and most importantly, hit the share button to paste the link to this crucial life lesson into emails, Facebook, texts, WhatsApp chats, or your social media of choice. We're here to improve the world. Let's all start by telling the world of beautiful Torah like this from Rabbi Goodman, Rabbi Levenstein, and our own amazing Rav Eytan Feiner. We go to yeshiva to learn, that's Torah. We seek closeness to Gedolim, that's Torah. We daven for inspiration and v'sein chalkeinu b'sorasecha, that's Torah. We come up with chidushim in our own learning, that's Torah. Maybe. Share your chidushim. Send your original Torah pieces to torahmaybe@gmail.com or email that address for more information. Also visit www.youtube.com/@torahmaybe.